You should be outraged. 2 failed impeachments, 1 failed special counsel investigation, 1 questionable election, and now an FBI raid into the former president of the United States, Donald Trump's Mar-A-Lago home.
The weaponization of government has been a problem for a while, and I think the Democrats have completely unleashed it.
This is, I think, very dangerous for our country leading into an election year, but also in general, this kind of idea of the executive branch being weaponized against one political viewpoint.
They've been investigating Trump for 5 years now. And what I would say to people is that the burden on the Department of Justice is exceedingly high. You're 100 days away from a midterm election, so this reeks of politics.
The fact that they're not explaining any of this still, this morning, this afternoon, not telling the American people who they know have a serious distrust, I think is what Ronald's going to. There's no reasoning with them. Be ready for war.
Several hours have passed. The night has gone by. We don't even have a copy of that I haven't seen, a copy of the search warrant. I don't ever think we'll get a copy of the affidavit until a motion to suppress is filed, if it ever is. But there is no action and no voice from Washington, D.C. about what this is about.
We're hearing from people like former Governor Andrew Cuomo. I wouldn't usually quote him, but this is his tweet. DOJ must immediately explain the reason for its raid, and it must be more than a search for inconsequential archives or will be viewed as a political tactic and undermine any future credible investigation and legitimacy of the January 6th investigation. These are Democrats. Andrew Yang, I'm no Trump fan. I want him as far away from the White House as possible, but a fundamental part of his appeal has been that it's him against a corrupt government. This raid strengthens that case, because it is. For millions of Americans who will see this as unjust persecution. It's political warfare at its worst. Using law enforcement to play politics is not acceptable in the United States. Mike Pompeo tweeted out, you think those 87,000 new IRS agents are just for show? Look at what the DOJ did last night to President Trump while it slow rolls and looks the other way on Hunter Biden. If they will go after a former president, they will go after you. For goodness sakes, folks, he's that former head of the CIA. Made that statement. If they will go after the former president, they will go after you. That's not Jordan Sekulow. That's former CIA Director and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. It's not usual that we would get a lot of information from the FBI or DOJ during a normal, even high-profile investigation like this when we see a raid and we see kind of some movement. But when it comes to a former president, I think their silence is actually, it's hurting their entire case.
We need to raise our voices and make sure that politics and the law are separated. Nobody's above the law. I said that. But the law has to be above politics, and the track record when it comes to Trump is pretty abysmal.
They had to have put forward in their request to get this to raid warrant that there was no way they could get it without doing a raid. I mean, they have to also go to a judge and say, this is the only way we can get this information.
The magistrate judge also then, or district judge, issues a warrant based upon what the affiant, the person who swears, to the facts of that warrant are. Those could be false. We know in the Carter Page situation that the FBI lied to the court about what was going on.
What concerns me, I mean, I heard it from so many people last night as this news was breaking, is they just have this total distrust, which I understand, in the institutions of America, especially in our federal law enforcement institutions.
I think it's incumbent upon the Department of Justice to inform the Congress in a reasonable fashion about what's going on here, because this is such an extraordinary move 100 days before the election.
This ultimately, again, folks, this raid, which is unprecedented in history, should be the wake-up call of all wake-up calls to the conservative movement in America.
This is the danger of big government, folks. This is the danger of a rampant FBI in beast mode. You don't have recourse. You don't want to hear that, but I'm telling it to you.
It's no surprise all of this is coming out within a matter of days. The beast mode IRS army of 87,000 new agents to come for you. The FBI coming for Donald Trump. And the DOJ, the entire weight of the federal government, that basically is, when you include the DOJ and FBI on this. We got to be ready to fight in a smart way. The voting booth. Now, you've got to do it. You got to get your friends and family to do it, and you can't forget what they have done. They crossed this line.